What's going on, boys? All right, let's get this all set up right here. Can you guys hear me okay? Sound, yes, no, yes, no. Sound, can you hear me? Anybody? All right, well, you gotta go down here. There we go. You guys can share it? All right, awesome. So we're gonna get started a little early because I don't like dicking around and being late. Well, first off, thank you guys for coming to hang out in the live stream. I rarely do this, and I probably should do it more, but it's just kind of weird. But it'll be cool kind of talking to you guys instead of going through that whole like comment response deal and stuff like that. We can actually have a direct interaction. So nice. What's up, ugly? Yes, I'm not the prettiest thing in the world, but Bog is kind of cute. He's back here if you guys want to see Bog. I don't know if you saw it, but I stuck his ass in a unicorn outfit that we got on clearance from like Petco, and he hated it, dude. He looked at me like he wanted to kill me, but I thought it was highly amusing. So here's what we're gonna do real quick. I'm gonna run through a couple things. I got kind of a cool little project that I'm working on that I want to talk to you guys about. We're going to talk about any kind of like fall fishing that you want to talk about. I'm going to kind of highlight some things that are going on. I'll explain why I'm actually in Florida right now, and that's part of the reason why there aren't any videos going up, but I'll explain that in a minute. But basically, we're going to talk kind of Florida and Southeast fall fishing at the end here. I'm going to start by just kind of telling you about a little project I got going and why there are no videos. So if you guys got any questions or if you guys want to talk about any techniques, like I always tell you, I don't know dick. Like, I mean, I know some things that I've learned kind of as I fish and go through the process. But when it comes down to it, all you guys watching the videos are a wealth of information. So if you got some techniques that you want to talk about and you want to highlight for other anglers that are fishing, whether they're up north, in the south, out west, whatever, I like that because individually, I know that much, but kind of in an ensemble or together, we know a ton of stuff. So that's super duper cool. But let's get started. Let me just do brass tacks. It's 6 o'clock. So here's the deal. Usually I try to put up anywhere from 2 to 3 videos per week. And I did have a death in the family, which absolutely sucks. And it has thrown a wrench into the videos. I got what I think is a really cool spinnerbait video coming for you guys, talking about spinnerbaits and fall, which I think is, especially even going into winter, is such a versatile technique and a bait. And there's all different types now and stuff. So we're gonna post that as soon as I can get to edit it. I also have a really cool video from Smith Lake that I shot. I'm really enjoying catching spots and kind of random largemouth out there, but it's a great highlight of a kind of a cool technique that I use to trigger some spotted bass that are almost kind of like surfacing and doing the topwater thing, but it's also kind of like microfishing. I don't know. I think you guys will think it's cool. It's a numbers game. So that'll be something that'll be going up shortly as soon as I can get back to the house in Alabama and get some of this stuff edited. And then I also have a cool technique that'll actually be working. It's kind of like a stroking technique, but a lot of guys do it with jigs. I do it with hair jigs, with swim baits, even scrounger heads. And we'll be kind of breaking down that technique because as we get into, say, like late fall and winter, it works down here in Florida, but especially in those cold water situations, you either have to be fishing like inches slow, dude, like, oh, kill me now kind of thing, or like reaction, like jerking that bait, fishing spoons, kind of stuff along those lines. So I think it'll be kind of a cool video, and especially when I'm excited and kind of enjoy learning stuff, I think the videos turn out better, and those are all definitely topics that I enjoyed fishing and learning about. So I'll be kind of stoked to live balls action. I love it. You're gonna get me flagged on YouTube talking like that, but I dig it. So the other thing that I want to do before we get into the fall fishing stuff, and this kind of relates back to what we were talking about before, like you guys know a ton of stuff when it comes to fishing. I know that much stuff, but I'm going to know that much stuff down the line at some point. But one thing that I wanted to do is like YouTube is an awesome source for information and learning. And there's a lot of focus, and I always talk about it like on pros and tournament fishing, which is very valuable and interesting. I grew up like watching Bassmaster. MLF is around now. I fish the BFLs. Like I'm into that stuff, but I do think that there is sort of there's a gap in fishing, and it comes to like us guys, us normal freaking dudes who go out on the weekend or sneak out like during the week, from work or whatever, and we go learn a bunch of stuff, especially from a regional standpoint. Like, dude, like we know how to fish our lakes, we know how to catch fish, and what I've noticed is, I don't know if you guys know Caleb from Bass Quest. So the dude's an absolute hammer on Chickamauga. He understands the lake. He communicates about patterns and just even that local area. Like he understands that there's some awesome spotted bass fishing, but like his vids get kind of screwed by YouTube. Like my vids get screwed by YouTube sometimes. The algorithm doesn't like kind of direct real fishing information, and it is what it is. Like that's just a fact. But I think there's a lot of really valuable content and really valuable instructional stuff, whether it's techniques, lure reviews, bait highlights, all kinds of stuff like that, that really get missed by YouTube, and you'll never end up seeing. You know how you see the videos in your little like side strip? They never end up showing them to you, so you never see them. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put a link into the chat box right now. Basically what it is, let me post this thing, and I also have it in the description box of the video if you guys are watching it later on. So what I'm thinking of doing, and you can sign up if you want, I'm going to create an email list. If you go to that, basically you can sign up for an email list. I will not sell your information. I will not send you crap. And if you think I send you crap, you can mark it as spam and you can unsubscribe. But basically my goal is the following. I want to get kind of a group of anglers, gals, guys, whatever, on an emailing list, so that if I see some content that I think is super cool, that YouTube is not discriminating, that's not the right word, censoring, or not, like it's not working in the algorithm, but say it talks about a really cool technique that I think is applicable to a lot of us, or something that you can take away some like information from, or say it's like a new lure review or something like that, or even if I end up like writing a blog or something like that, real fancy. I don't know if I could actually write a blog, but you get the idea. Basically, what I want to do is I want to have an email list of you guys so that I can fire out an email and be like, hey, what's up, homies? This is kind of cool content. I thought you might be interested in this technique, this lure, this pattern, maybe even this fishing video that I put together, or a buddy of mine put together, or one of you put together. And then basically just kind of disseminate it, get it out to you guys so you can see it. Is this the same email list that you already have? It's in the link. If you guys already signed up for an email list on the videos, yes, it's probably the same. But I literally just started doing this, I think like 2 or 3 weeks ago I started it. And actually it's one of the reasons I wanted to do the live stream. So but I think it's something cool. I think Jay Kumar does something kind of like it. He does Bass Blaster, which is really cool, and he focuses on different like news pieces across the industry. But it's very hyper focused on tournament fishing. And for as much as that's cool, like don't get me wrong, I think there's a gap. There's definitely like a grassroots kind of us angler stuff, like knowledge base, dude. Like we all know how to do a million different things, and especially when it comes to regionally, there's a lot of value in that knowledge. So if I see something that I think's cool, or if you guys send me something, a lot of you guys message me like super cool videos, techniques, tips, all that kind of stuff, I'm gonna blast it out to you. If you like it, you can keep subscribed to it. If you don't, like I said, like cancel me. Like I'm down with that. So awesome. Thank you guys who have already subscribed. Is it just me, or is that link not working? I'm going to give you one more link. That should be working just fine. But if you guys run into any problems, you can also go subscribe. I actually have a web page. How pathetic is that? Kind of a douchebag, but you guys need that. If the link isn't working, go ahead and try this, guys. If you go to this page, there's a thing that says sign up for free. It's right on the main page. Enter your email to sign up for the rawest updates on fishing techniques, fishing lures, bog. Yeah. And actually, I'll stick bog in the newsletter from time to time just to dick around. That's it. Thank you guys for all your condolences for the family thing. I just thought it'd be good to get on here since there aren't any videos going up because of that. So it'll go up. So if you want the link, it's in the description box. Otherwise, go to MikeyBallsFishing.com or MikeyBallsFishing.com, and it's on there. But enough about this crap. I thought it was kind of cool to maybe try this. You got to try something, see where it goes, develop it. If it takes a dump, it takes a dump, and we don't do it ever again. But we'll try to build a list. We'll try to disseminate some content that maybe isn't getting the spotlight or the highlight that us as anglers think it deserves. and then we decide what's important, which I think is the most important thing. I don't believe in other people deciding what I think is right, cool, and a good way to do things. I don't know about you guys, but I'm kind of stubborn like that. So, cool. Let's move on to some fall fishing. So I'm going to run through kind of what's been my experience in the Southeast. And if you guys have been watching the videos when I've been up in Alabama, fall is probably one of the toughest times of year for me. And I don't know if that's because I've adjusted so much to be kind of either like a very hyper targeted angler when it comes to picking something apart specifically, or if it's because I've relied so much on my grasp, finding pods of fish and grouping. And what I found is in fall, like you really can't play that game. Like these fish are spread out, especially early fall. What we saw, I don't know if you guys watched that Bassmaster tournament on Gunnersville, like those jokers struggle, boy. Like it'd be one bite there, 2 hours later, another bite down there. So it's been a bit of a struggle, but I'm going to run through a couple things that I've picked up, and you guys can tell me if it's been your experience. We all have to fish kind of our strengths, and it's tough to get outside of that. But one thing I have noticed is the bait is also, let's see, it's getting into the back of the creeks, if not already there. For the most part, around where I am in Alabama, there's a lot of shad that have already migrated back to the creeks. And about 2-3 weeks ago, the bass kind of got back there all of a sudden. They showed up. There were a lot of pockets or these back creeks where I would go and you'd see the bass schooling, and it was really about like figuring out how to catch them, which was super hard to do. But basically, like that kind of took a dump, and now we're kind of in a period where finally we're getting some cooler weather consistently in the evenings. It got a little bit mild, but we're going to have a nice little cold snap coming, and in my opinion, that's going to trigger a lot of these fish that have been kind of dragging their tail fins. Ha ha ha! Stupid jokes, Mike. Dragging their tail fins and not wanting to move to the backs of these creeks or move deep into these creeks. They're going to get their skedaddle and get on back. So I'm kind of fired up because what that's going to do, if you guys watch that fall bass fishing unboxing on Waterwash Tackle Warehouse stuff, we're going to see a topwater bite. We're going to see a jerkbait bite, which is kind of one of the unsung heroes of fall. Everybody talks about it for winter, but the water has been clear in a lot of these back pockets, and you get out like that Vision 110 or something like that, and it's going to absolutely kill it. The other thing too is we have had some rain, and ironically the water's still pretty clear, but the water levels are up. So that's also going to shift some of these fish back into the backs of the creeks too, because finally like water's cooling, it's up, they follow that water line, and it's going to get them back there. So even once they pull the water back down, these jokers are already getting back there. But before we get into that A-rig season, there's going to be a lot of baits that I think are going to be fun. So I kind of want to talk to you guys. What are your go-to fall baits as these shad move into the pockets? I've kind of highlighted mine in that unboxing video and mentioned a few here. But what's the 120 Junior? What's the 120 Junior, Mike? Oh, the 110. Yeah, the 110. And that's another thing too, actually. What you're going to see in actually some upcoming videos, I've been on this kick to fish smaller profile baits. A lot of you guys who watched the Lanier video saw me throwing, I think what it's called, it's a mini me spinner bait. I've just noticed with the amount of pressure, and I think it's rooted in when I started fishing Gunnersville, like I had no idea. Okeechobee gets beat up. The deep lakes that I fish around Sebring and that, they get beat up. But I have never seen lake fishing pressure until I saw Gunnersville and Chickamauga. Like these fish get hammered, and then you throw all the small forage into the mix, and really downsizing has been a big theme for me. Mike mentioned like the mini 110, like the smaller mega bass. I've been throwing like these micro hair jigs, like these little tiny jokers, the mini me, which is a downsized kind of compact spinnerbait, and then I'll actually like burn it. So I'm not even letting them see it fast enough to know that it's a little bit bigger, presentation. 2020 has been crap. Derek, where are you fishing that you struggle? And the Bass Amateur, make Donnie Bass great. I texted that joker today, and he didn't call me back. I was hoping he would call me. Moose Juice Fishing. Hey, actually, I got to throw a shout out to Moose Juice. Go check his channel out. He's been doing some cool fishing. If you guys watch me at Headwaters, he has some Headwaters videos going up that are going to be super cool. I'm actually going to watch them because when I come down back to Florida for better reasons in January, I'll be headed out there and I'll be punching a lot of mad. So I want to learn how other people are catching them out there. But Moose Juice brings up a good point. The 2.8 Kitech, you know, it's really funny. You guys are going to see some videos, like the Smith Lake video I'm trying to edit as soon as I get home. I've been throwing a lot of the 3.3 Kitech, but there's this funny window. Last year, if I remember my dates right, it was approximately like November 20th. It was like right around Thanksgiving through about December 1st. There was just this window when literally all I could get bid on was either like a suspending jerkbait like the 110, a 2.8 Kitech, or an A rig. And it had to be the 2.8, and on the rig, it had to be either like Gambler Teasies or a 2.8 Kitech. For some reason, everything wanted like super small baits. And we're catching big fish. That's actually when we hooked that 5+, what I would say even like 6-pound spot on Smith Lake when I was out with my buddy Lake Weidler. So small baits, we kind of graduate into like sort of a peak of small baitdom. And I don't know why it happens, if it's because the forages are so small or these fish are so weird. But really, this time of year, if you are fishing in the Southeast, it's something that I'm learning very quickly. Get compact and get small with your stuff. Yes, the baby bull shad. That thing actually is super cool. What is the Jackal Derrick Coop? I have no idea. Spy bait. So Bass Amateur. I've been loving a spy bait. I tried to shoot a video out on Wilson, and of course, what I did is I went out to Wilson and I said, "The hell with it. I'm not going to shoot video." I freaking caught him. Not awesome, but for fall, I caught him good. I think I had like 16 pounds, 17 pounds. I caught them all in the back of one pocket, and a spy bait was integral. And I'm like, yeah, hell yeah, I'm gonna go back and shoot the same video. I'll try to like capture that same concept and content because I figure there's all this bait back here. These schoolies will be back. Yeah, that didn't work out for me. So that's why I'm always an avid promoter of catch them if you got them. If you ever heard smoke them while you got them, well, catch them while you got them because they're not always going to be there. And that's especially the case in fall and spring. It seems like that's the likeness between the two seasons. But really, what I was doing with the spy bait is something Tim from Hammond's kind of told me about and that I've played with. We all think of a spy bait classically as it was presented, I think maybe in the US, what was it, like 4 or 5 years ago, maybe. You're supposed to put it on super light line and, you know, super slow reel it. Well, Tim from Hammond's, and he fishes a lot of spots, but he said with all this bait around and all like the herring, and the herring are super fast, and even all the shad, he actually takes it and puts it on a little heavier tackle. I personally put it on, I think, a 7-foot medium action rod with kind of a softer or more moderate taper, kind of like a crankbait rod, but a little bit stiffer. And a medium action 12-pound fluorocarbon, high speed reel, 721. And I would sling it out there and fishing it over anywhere from like 2 to say 7 feet. And dude, I burn that joker, like burn the hell out of it. So that's how I was actually fishing that spy bait. Like, and it was, I'd find like clouds of bait that were either just barely below the surface on my Lowrance, or I'd find them, you know how you can see the bait balls? You'll see kind of like the flickering or the displacement of the water in the backs of those creeks. I would literally throw that joker through there and burn it through. And I think there was something to when I was burning it, and the bait it flushes out and does this whole kind of, it's so stupid. Like, I should start making it goes, yeah, nice sound effect. So it flushes out and it separates really quick. And I think a lot of those bass are right under that bait. So when they see that bait flushing out and acting funny, they come up because they think other fish have either corralled the bait and they're eating, or they just something changes and they're forced to react. All this bait's moving and they see that spy bait or that lure buzzing through and it looks a little bit different and they eat it. I was doing the same thing with spinnerbait actually. It wasn't the mini me I was using, or the mini mite. It was using that D&M custom bait spinnerbait sniper. It's a 3-blade spinnerbait, and the blades are about the size of a lot of the shad you see. It's maybe like, hell, like 1.25 inches or something like that. And there's 3 blades on it. So it's practically like throwing an A-rig, but not, you know, you get that kind of vibration, that kind of water displacement, that kind of flash. That worked really well. Ironically, I couldn't catch them on the top water to save my life. But I think once the water temp drops a little more, I'll commit a little bit more to that. What are some other things? Oh, and then I was catching them on, you'll actually see in the video, I've been playing around with a lot of different hair jigs. I want to learn more about fishing more micro hair jigs. And I'm playing around. If you guys saw that unboxing, it was the Cumberland Pro. Dude, I can't forget what it's called, or I can't remember what it's called. It's Cumberland Pro. Whatever. It's a little float and fly with a tail blade on it. and that Joker, dude, kills it. But it's got a little small hook on it. You got to throw it on an ultralight tackle, but you'll see in the Smith Lake video, I do this cool like stroking, almost fish it like hair jig or spoon, and they smash it. I didn't get video of it, but I actually caught some smallmouth on Wheeler doing it. I just found you basically go find a pocket, a back of a creek, if you will, or a back of a pocket, maybe 1/3 the way back, or one of those shorter pockets right off the main lake. Go to the back, and if you see bait like potted up and just hang out for like 20 minutes. And it usually works best after 12, but hang out for 20 minutes. If you see anything blowing up, that's when you're like, okay, let's do this. Because usually what I found is you get back there and either someone's been back there or the fish kind of get weird with the motor noise because it displaces the bait or something. So they don't school right away. But if you give them like 15 or 20 minutes in the back of a pocket that you see a lot of bait on the surface on, you'll start seeing them school. And you end up catching some white bass too. I actually ran into, ironically, literally there was a 20 yards this way, there was a school of white bass eating bait in like 8-10. And then there was a pot of bait 20 yards this way, and those were smallmouth. It was the dumbest thing. I'm like, why aren't the smallmouth over there with the white bass too? It was freaking weird. But yes, micro football jigs. I actually been throwing that. I was able to fish a little bit down here in Florida, and I'm hoping to get you a few of the videos. They kind of highlighted a kind of a cool technique, but maybe let's move on to that. A lot of guys ask me like, what is Florida like in the fall? Because this is one of the most non-traveled, non-touristy times down in Florida. So if you guys are kind of looking to sneak out and make a trip, before we hit like December, because usually what happens, the snowbirds, the tourists, and all that all come to Florida. The ones that live down here are here probably November-ish or so, maybe Thanksgiving, but usually it doesn't get really piled on and beat up until, say, starting like December, like right after Christmas, pretty much. So we'll get to it. Oh, everybody's asking about you, dude. Get up. Come on, they want to see you. Hold on, you guys can see Bob. He's right down here. Come on, get up. Basically, Bob, you gotta get tall. Hold on, guys. We'll put Bob in a video. All right. Should we do questions with Bog? Can you see everybody? Everybody say hi to Bog. Hello, Bog. Oh. All right, Bog. You gotta go back down. All right. So let's get to it. I gotta catch up with these comments here. What do we got going on, John? You guys are way too quick about writing stuff here. Jabberjaw is like square bill. Ooh, a metal bill. So that's kind of cool. A jabberjaw. I had no idea what the hell that is. Who makes the jabberjaw? One of the problems I run into with the square bills is I break bills off them because I just get too hard cranky. I like banging stuff. What's up, Tyler? What's going on, man? Guys, I'm sure you have subscribed, but go check out Tyler's Real Fishing. Straight up genuine dude, and he makes some cool content. Very polished compared to my crappy, like kind of rough cut videos. So definitely something to check out. And it's real fishing, kind of like what we were talking about. 13 Fishing makes 13 Fishing's been making some cool stuff, so as well as 6 Cents. So no, okay. So Cam asks, do you ever use jig skins or lure wraps? I don't use any of that stuff, man. I'm very not a color guy for the most part. Like as long as it hits general color presentation. But I will admit I'm as much as any other angler into the way something appears. Like if I see a fancy crankbait, we were just talking about 6 Cents. That's a great example. The 6 Cents stuff looks super cool. A lot of it works really well. So like it's kind of what the hell, dude, it looks good and it fishes well. So let's get after it. But I'm really not into super realistic stuff. I think general colorizations of lures, picking colors that for instance, in soft plastics or even hard baits that generally match either the forage or the watercolor is key, because anything in nature is going to kind of look like its environment. So, I mean, there's exceptions to that, chartreuse with smallmouth and spots, the pink, we call it morning dawn kind of stuff. But I'm pretty simple with the with colorations and presentations. I'm more about action, vibration, and just having a general color and stuff. So. All right, so I guess we're going to talk about some Florida stuff. So one of the most unspoken kind of seasons in Florida is right now. So if you guys are looking to kind of get out of the house and you don't deer hunt or whatever, sneaking down to Florida right now is pretty cool because what ends up happening and what I've noticed is because there's literally a tropical storm that's blasting through right now, and all that rain and stuff is dropping water temperatures a little quicker than it usually does. So what we actually get, especially if you're in like Central Florida to South Florida, there can actually be a fall spawn. It's one of the coolest things I've ever seen. On Okeechobee, on the south end, I've literally seen fish on beds in September. And I don't mean like, oh, look at the bed. I mean like that fish is locked on a bed. That was the earliest I've ever seen it. But what ends up happening is basically these fish, the water temperature gets right and they think it's time to do their thing. And there's a lot of different waves in Florida, waves of fish that come up. There's so many fish in these lakes that they actually spawn in chunks. They'll start, like I said, I think there's some starting now, like in late October, mid October, and they'll go all the way through. I've caught bedfish as late as I think the end of May down here. Usually, the earlier in the season that you see those spawning fish, the shallower that they are, the later in the season that you see those spawning fish, and usually you don't see them later in the season. You just kind of pick up on the fact that they're bedding. It's in deeper water. But like I said, so Florida can be a real cool place right now because there are some early spawning fish or even staging and pre-spawn fish, which means they eat. Like you don't run into that problem with all the shad moving into the creeks where there's an over sort of stocking of bait or there's too much bait, which draws the fish's attention. The fishing down here can be really good. I know JT caught with Grigsby a 12.5 out at Headwaters, and that was a punching fish. So what that tells me is when those fish start to get in the mats and they start to relate to that hydrilla, because a lot of those fish that I caught out there, some of them related to the hydrilla, some were related to depth and that. But when those fish start relating to some of that grass, that submerged grass like that, that tells me that they're kind of swimming around and they're getting in that pre-spawn or even staging mode. So there's not a lot of pressure that happens now, and you get some of the best, or the right word, the most consistent weather other than late spring. What's nice about fall is you don't have those winter fronts. When we hit about January, February in Florida, and I know a lot of you guys from up north are going to laugh and call me a ninny, but we get these fronts where it'll be like 50 degrees in the morning. Sometimes even like, in the mid 40s or so, we end up hitting like 65, maybe 70 degrees. But what ends up happening is these Florida fish are moody, and especially when they're going up to spawn in that, basically it just knocks off like the flow. So what you have in fall is a little more consistent weather other than the tropical storm that we got going on right now. And what it does is it just leads to good fishing. That consistent temperatures, consistent sun, Florida bass actually like the sun. That consistency can just lead to a great bite, and they're not getting their heads beat in by. Not that I don't like tourists, don't get me wrong. I love people that come to Florida and fish, but you do see a lot more pressure post, say, December 25th, January 1st. So you can kind of sneak in, get in that window, flip some mats. Actually, we'll do that real quick. If you're coming down, you're going to fish Headwaters, you're going to fish in Florida right now, have a swim jig tied on, chatterbait, popping frog, have something to flip a mat with, so like 1.5. And I would have a BB cricket, but that's just what I've been catching them on. Stinger works. My buddy Donnie Bass loves his crawdaddies. Just have something like that, and then have something a little bit lighter. A lot of these fish will spawn around like kind of like isolated stalks, king stalks, things on those lines. Little 1/2 ounce, 3/8 ounce, maybe even lighter, up to like a 3/16 that you can kind of flip over if you see a very isolated target and hit that. So let us get to some questions here, because I am kind of just going off on my own tangent and we're drifting away from fall fishing. But I will leave you with this: fall fishing in Florida is awesome. Fall fishing in the southeast, at least up by me, it's tough, but it can be rewarding. And at one point, gentlemen, literally, we will go out there and there will be fish going like that, and it'll be awesome. There's that awesome topwater kind of window, and I missed it last year. I don't plan on missing it again this year. And it'll be spots on Smith. It'll be largemouth on Gunnersville, on Wilson, on Pickwick. I am hoping to right to my left. Gunners. Actually, let's do that real quick. You guys know I love to punch, right? So I have been hitting Gunnersville. I think I was out there twice to try to put together some kind of punching bite. And I'll be honest with you, I know how to punch pretty decent. I know what to look for. and I struggled. I did catch some fish. I think I caught a 4-pounder, some other 2-pounders and that. But I mentioned to somebody in the comments, like, dude, we're talking like 7-8 hours of fishing, and I think I had like 6 bites, maybe 7 if you're counting what I think was a knock, but could have been a brim. At least for me, the punching bite has been pretty tough. And the one thing I worry about too, we had all that rain on Gunnersville and up in Alabama, and as well as Tennessee, and that from these storms that have gone through, that the waters come up. And what ends up happening, you have cooling water temps, and that water drops because they're flushing all that current through, and it really is just going to take the grass along with it and flush it down the river. So I'm a little sad, but I don't think we're going to be seeing as many mats or as much frogging material as we'd like to see at this time of year. And this is really when it picks up. You get about like a 2-week window when, it gets fun. I am hoping there's a lot of grass on Pickwick. I'm hoping I can go maybe put together a punch bite over there, but we'll have to see. So let's get to some questions here and take a look and drop your questions, or actually anything you guys want to talk about fall fishing wise. I got about another 30 minutes or so that we can go out on a tangent, and then I got to get back with family stuff and eat that chicken that I was grilling. If you guys saw the Instagram video, let's see here. The hurricane hit for you. The hurricane is hitting Florida right now. Yeah, we're getting hammered. So actually, ironically, I went out fishing in this crap because the fish bite and super low pressure. And it was fun. I will tell you that I am super thankful because the last time I fished in a tropical storm or a hurricane, I did not have spot lock, and I had my my Fortrex, and dude, it sucked. Like absolutely sucked. So now going out and spot locking in freaking, I don't know, 30-mile-an-hour winds, 35-mile-an-hour winds, the boat still goes around and you still get blown back and all around. But frankly, it changes the game. Like I can catch fish, hook a fish, get it to the boat, change baits, and not have to worry about the boat being about 100 yards back behind me. So that's been kind of nice because I've been fishing. I've been catching some fish that are potted up in these small kind of pre-spawn schools. That's something that's kind of cool that happens down here in a lot of these clear lakes. You guys have seen me fish around the Sebring area. Like we get into these pre-spawn schools of fish, and I think it actually happens on some of the shallower water lakes as well. You're not able to see them in the graph, but they group up. They're kind of cruising around in certain key areas, hard bottom areas, good grass areas, and getting them to bite can be super rewarding because there can be not a lot, but there can be 3 or 4 like solid 4 to 6 pound bites all stacked in a small area, and they're just staying in that area because it's the one step before they go and spawn. That's a lot of fun. Let's see here. So what time of year was that 50-pound sack? 49. I need to break 50. That was, I believe it was December when we actually caught it. I think I posted the video like 2 months later or something like that, but I want to say it was like mid-December, early December when that happened. The stars aligned for that deal, dude. That was stupid. Like that was absolutely dumb. And the next time, some of you guys are asking when I'm going to be back in Florida. I should be back down here in January. Obviously, there's a lot of stuff happening between the COVID stuff and all that. I don't know how that's going to play in, but I try to come to Florida twice a year for work stuff and just, I love it down in Florida and I love it in Alabama. So as long as I have the opportunity, I'm going to try to spend time in both places, right? Real quick too, if you guys were not here for the beginning of the live stream, I'm going to drop a link down in here. I am trying to put together an email list. The link is right here. Please go and sign up for it. I'm not going to sell you email. I'm not going to do stupid stuff with your email. What I'm trying to do is basically set up an email list and look at content that maybe YouTube isn't like highlighting. They're not giving enough credit to or showing when it comes to cool techniques, regional techniques, underground kind of fishing baits and stuff like that. I just put the link in the chat box. Go sign up for the email list. It's just going to be basically a way to highlight kind of us guys. There's a lot of stuff that talks about tournament fishing. I think there's a lot of knowledge and a lot of passion and a lot of super cool techniques and sort of inside information that comes from us as regional and just like local anglers. So like, why not share it and highlight it? Because YouTube doesn't want to most of the time. So we might as well kind of help ourselves because I don't believe in listening to what other people tell me to do. So I'm going to share different voices, different perspectives. I'll throw a few videos that I do in there. But I think it'll be kind of cool. If you're on board with it, go ahead and sign up. Link is in the chat box. So let's see here. What do we got here? We're going to stay where I can only have 2 hooks on an A rig. Flash Mob Jr., how would you set that up? I definitely put my teasers on mainly the outside, and then I would put a hooked bait on the middle, and then on one of the top right or left. Two reasons for that. One, they usually eat the middle thing. Plus, make the baits that you have hooks on them different colors or slightly different. Maybe dye the tail chartreuse. It's actually a really good question. When you can have only limited hooks on an A rig, make your two actual hook baits a little bit different, and then I would keep one in the middle and one at the top. The reason I say that is I like to fish an A rig around wood a lot. I almost fish it like a spinner bait where you kind of like tick the wood, or you even on grass too, you kind of tick the grass, and not having that teaser on the bottom, you'll actually get report from it. So you'll feel that arm when it hits a piece of wood or hits a piece of grass, but it won't actually hang. So if you kind of pop it out, that rig will pop right off of there, and you'll get reaction strike. So that's what I would recommend. Otherwise, that situation where you can only have a couple hooked baits on your A rig, that's when I start to think about throwing that multi-blade spinnerbait. I talked about it early on in the video, and I'll have a spinnerbait video going up as soon as I'm able to get back home and do some editing for you guys. But I really am a believer in throwing a multi-blade spinnerbait. I think it's a mini A rig that's a lot more manageable, and especially if you're fishing around shallow cover, or you're fishing tight spaces where it's tough to throw a rig. That to me kind of does everything you need, and it doesn't kill your freaking shoulder after X amount of time or whatever. So, Matt, I've never fished Taylor Creek Reservoir. Tell me a little bit about it if it's worth checking out. So, let's see here. What do we got? I have questions. So in Florida, it doesn't yet super cold, but still gets around 50s, and bass can get a little lethargic. But mostly they are pressured and not super, but definitely bass fishing slow down. Tips only for heavy pressure on lethargic bass. Well, all right. So Becky threw a question out there. So Florida bass still do get pressured, and she seems to think that they're a little bit lethargic, and I think that relates back to kind of what we were talking about, even with the Southeast, the issue with all the bait in the back of the creeks, Gunnersville. When fish get weird, I like downsizing. But it sounds stupid, like old school Bassmaster magazine that's totally giving you a load of crap, but like it's true. We talked about like a 2.8 contact or that 3.3 contact, putting a little finesse ball head, something simple, light, tiny, and compact. You might not catch a bunch of bigs, but you can get some bites. The other thing, Becky, that I find is when the fish are super slow, you either have to fish super slow or you have to light their ass up. Like burning baits, fishing fast, fishing reaction, flipping a 100-yard stretch to get 2 bites, but like dropping a half-ounce like creature bait on them or something like that. That's just my perspective and my style of fishing. The other thing in Florida, it's so simple and it's fished a lot, but you can't be picking up like a stick bait, like an ace or a fat ace, and putting it on 3/16 ounce weight, 3/16 ounce weight, 15 to 20 pound fluorocarbon on a medium heavy rod, and just throw it at anything. Throw it at like a rocks if you got them on the bank of a canal. Throw it at isolated stalks. Throw it at grass beds. Just put it just about anywhere. It's super simple, but it's a catch fish anywhere, anytime in Florida rig. All right, so yeah, I haven't tried the bait ball. Somebody mentioned for the smaller kind of A-rig spots and that, try the bait ball. Actually, I have tried the bait ball, or not the live target. The A-rig that I actually use on spots is the Picasso. They actually call it the bait ball as well. It's Picasso. I think it's a finesse schoolie rig bait ball. It's very downsized. It's probably hard to tell, I guess, with the camera, but it's a downsized rig. And once again, it's really nice because I can throw it like a spinnerbait. I can throw it a mile and I can burn it a lot easier than I would like a standard size A rig. It doesn't kill your shoulder like that. So, this is a great question. Okay, so downtown Burville. What is your go-to knot for braid to fluoro? So if you guys watch the videos and pay attention, I had Tyler Wolcott on. He's a FLW. I don't even know what the hell they're calling it now. Five big, whatever. FLW Pro Circuit deal. He's a pro angler. He fishes that. He's super cool dude. Like I knew this kid long before he did any kind of pro fishing stuff. Super down to earth guy. Super straightforward. He's actually guiding out on headwaters that Lake JT fishes. If you guys are interested. So he came over after he had fished the FLW up on, I think it was Green Bay or up somewhere up there in Wisconsin, and he showed me the FG knot. Well, he shot a video for me. I actually filmed him doing it. So I'm like, I finally have a resource where I'm going to learn this knot. Dude, screw that knot. It's probably my fault and whatever. I cannot tie it. I've tried like 25, 30 times to tie it, and I screw it up every time. And I don't know if you guys can tell from the videos, but I have like this much patience. With fishing, I have patience, but when it comes to like rigging stuff up, I'm all about simplicity, get it done, move forward. Like I don't have time for this crap. I just want to go fishing. I can't tie the FG knot. So that went out the window. I was tying a double uni knot, classic, wraps on each side, draw it together. It works. It's a little bigger knot, so I was getting wind knots with it, and it was a little bit clunky. So here's what happened, and this actually comes down to like your comments that you're making, which are so helpful and insightful. Somebody mentioned that on the water, it's really hard to tie an FG knot, and they recommended, I don't know exactly what it's called. Is it the blood knot? Basically, it's a modified uni knot. Let me look it up here. I think it's here's what you do though. You take your line. Let me see if I got a wire right here. You take your monofilament and you double loop it like this. And then you draw it together and you see how it does. Dude, this is a good video, actually. You see how it this one doesn't do it perfect, but it basically creates two loops like this. So this is your mono or your leader line, your fluorocarbon. Basically what you do is you run braid through here, and then you bring it through here. You draw your braid out, make 5 or 6 wraps, and then you draw it together. It doesn't always cinch right, but when you cinch it right, it works. I have not tried it on heavier lines. This is a knot that I've only used for, anyway, 15-pound fluorocarbon, let me reframe that. 15-pound braid or 12-pound braid to 8-pound or 10-pound fluorocarbon. That's the range. I don't think it would actually work as well with heavier fluorocarbon, but I don't know. But basically, if you know how to tie a uni knot, this basically takes out one side of the uni knot, and it's super simple. Okay, FG knots maybe not as so. Cam, this is interesting because the FG knot is not as hard as people make it seem, and I'm not trying to make it seem hard. The difficulty I had was I couldn't get familiar or comfortable with tying it. So maybe I need to practice it more. But my philosophy is this: when I get out on the water and I break off a leader, even though in theory with the FG knot, you're not supposed to be able to break it, I'm not going to retie that knot because I don't know, like it just freaking, I don't know, it was too much, dude. So I need something that's more fluid, especially if like I'm on a pot of fish, I'm catching them, and all of a sudden I break the leader. I'm like, I got to retie that. I want something I can do quick and efficiently. And this knot that I'm using, it seems to work pretty well on the lighter lines. I forget what it's called though. I want to say it's not a blood knot. If I find it, it's something somebody recommended. If you go back actually to the FG knot video with Tyler Wolcott, a buddy, or not a buddy, but one of the guys in the audience recommended it. It's like near the top of the comments. It's cool. It works. It's simple. It's easy to tie, and it's been solid. I've caught the 4-pound. If you guys watch the videos, I caught that 4-3 spot on Lanier, and then I caught another 4-pounder on a shaky head on Lanier. And both were like around the brush, and I kind of put the hammer to them. I used decent drag reels, but it never broke it. So it held up. If it can hold on to a 4-pound spot, 2 of them in one day, like it's good enough for me. So that's a lot easier to tie. So 25 Alberto knots to 1 FG. I think that's actually might be what it's called, an Alberto knot. Is Bass Amateur, is the Alberto knot, is that like is it like a uni on one side and like a loop on the other, and then you draw it together kind of thing? All right, so let's get back to these questions, comments. So we did that. Mostly, but it works. You can catch bigger bass, and they're out there. So Becky, just one more thing on the 1 to 2 pounders thing. Here's the other little fun thing about Florida that I'm doing. If Florida sucks, especially it's like this time of year through like January or so, if you get like a week or 2 of like small fish and it kind of sucks, it usually means it's about to shell off. Okeechobee was renowned for doing this back when I fished it all the time in like 2013, 14, 15. So like the lake would suck for like a week and a half, 2 weeks. Like it would take like 14 pounds, 13 pounds to win. Some of the, sticks, and like great anglers out there fishing derbies. And then literally, I don't know if it's because these fish go into a weird like cruising kind of thing, like a pre-spawn lull or a staging lull. But basically, I think these fish kind of shut off right before they go to like real staging behavior when they move up towards beds. They get in that back and forth kind of deal. And once it turns on, it's stupid. So be patient with it. If you're doing everything you can to catch 1 and 2 pounders, then I mean that's what's biting, dude. That's the reality. I'd be happy with bending a rod. There's a lot of people up north right now who they're stuck with ice or crappy weather and they can't get out. So I'm always thankful when I can get out and fish and just catch something or bend a rod or even just play with some lures. You gotta be grateful all the time. So all right, so what do we got here? Or not, quick easy go. Yeah, Ron, we were talking about Fluorocarbon To Braid knots. So power knot is my go-to across the board. I even tied on like 8-pound fluorocarbon, which I know is a big no-no, but until I break off every time I set the hook, I'm not changing it. I'm one of those kind of people that if it ain't broke, don't fix it, which gets you into trouble sometimes, but sometimes it works, dude. So it's kind of roll that. All right, so Mr. Phipps, what up, dude? How far south do you need to go in late November, Okeechobee Harris? Okay, so actually, interesting note. I was talking to my buddy. If you guys are ever down or coming down to Florida and you drive through, what the hell is this shop? It's down near like Claremont or North Claremont. 44 Tackle. You guys probably saw a bait shop walkthrough with him. My buddy Chris Kingery owns it. He fishes Harris a bunch, and I actually talked to him on the phone when I was driving to Florida. He's like, bro, they're seeing some fish on beds here. There's some cruising fish, and there's a few fish on beds on Harris. So it's starting. That's a ways north. I don't think you're going to see a giant wave up there, but down towards, I would say, anywhere from probably Lake Kissimmee, not so much the Kissimmee chain, but Lake Kissimmee down. And that pretty much includes Headwaters because Headwaters is just down the street from Lake Kissimmee. You're going to see some bedding fish starting now. But what ends up happening is you get that early wave that comes in, which isn't gigantic usually, but usually there's some big fish mixed in. And then they get in that stupid back and forth. What happens, like I said, we get those fronts that come through. We get weather, which pushes them back. They usually stay pretty shallow and they stay in those general staging areas, but they might be up on the bank one day. They might be in between another. They might be tucked up in the mats because of a front. So you get them kind of going back and forth. But one thing I will tell you about Florida is the biggest bass you will see. Not the most bass, not these mega waves that you saw on Lake Okeechobee that one year, but the biggest bass in Florida spawn the earliest. And usually the shallowest. Usually, not all the time. But that's where you're going to see your 10s, your 12s, your 13s. That's why you always hear about really early in the year, you'll have like crappy, cold, nasty weather. And up there on Lake George or somewhere on the St. Johns River, somebody caught like a 12 and a half, a 14, 13 sight fishing or something, even though it seems like it's way too early for that stuff to be happening. So, all right. So what else we got right here? Whoa. Thanks. Somebody gave me $5, I guess. That's super awesome. Thanks, Neo. I didn't even know you could do that on here. That shows how aware I am of how this whole live chat stuff works. And actually, let me throw this out to you. I don't know if I'm just jabbering on. Is this something that you guys think is cool? Is this something we should do more often? I'd really like to have more people interacting and stuff, and it not just focused on me. So maybe I can figure out a way to bring somebody in to have a discussion, and we can both have a discussion with you guys. But let me know. Just kind of drop a few notes. Is this something cool you'd like to see more of? Otherwise, I'll totally cancel myself and we'll never do this again. And I'll just edit videos and just go kind of from there. So we do have actually a little note. My buddy Smallwater Charters is in the chat box. You guys can go check him out. He has a YouTube channel. He's another avid fisherman of Headwaters Lake. Has some videos up. Goes out there all the time with his wife. They love throwing swim baits and stuff. So if you guys want any kind of fishing report or insights, or you want to kind of learn about the new Headwaters Lake, you can definitely check out his channel or hit him up at Smallwaters Charter. He's on YouTube and that. So check him out. That Headwaters place is going to be sick, dude. I can't wait. I'm going to come down. I'm avoiding going over there now because we've had all these storms, and really I need to focus on doing family stuff and getting home as well. I'm not really supposed to be down here right now with work and all that. So I'm not going to sneak over there. I'm just going to fish around here a little bit when I have the opportunity. But I'm going to definitely put a focus in, because one of the coolest things about Headwaters is I know the kayak guys have been out there, and they'll give me hell for this and that because they've already been through multiple seasons out there. But from a boating standpoint, like all the guys in boats, and really a lot of the lake hasn't been accessed. We've never seen what these fish do. Like, how do they behave? Obviously, they're going to go spawn, but like, how do they get there? Are they going to stack up in the mats? Are they going to use little ditches? Are they going to just eat topwater all the time? So literally all this seasonal information and all these seasonal movements and changes and fishing patterns, it's all fresh. It's all virginal stuff, dude. So Headwaters is going to be a fun little experiment. It's a new lake, and I love learning kind of new things. I have my general kind of Florida knowledge and that which can be applied, but everything's going to be kind of like a first time out there. It's going to be, how do they move? How do they do whatever? But enough about Headwaters. It's a pretty cool place. JT is very spoiled to live there, but it's pretty cool. All right, so let's see here. What else we got? Any tips for Lake Hartwell early December? Hampton asks, any tips for Hartwell? I've never fished Hartwell, and I really want to. I don't know. I think, is Hartwell like spotted bass or is it largemouth? I know you guys catch a bunch on topwater. That should be getting absolutely killer. And aren't there like floating brush piles out there and stuff like that? Or is that Norman? I don't know. That looks really kind of like a cool place. I had a few buddies tell me about how they burn flukes in, like literally they like reel them over the top. You never even jerk it. You just fish it as fast as you can. Sounds pretty stupid. Bottom line Bassin says Okalawaha has some monsters. Yeah, Okalawaha. That's Rodman, right? When you sneak down on the lower part down past Orange Springs. That's where me and freaking what's his name? Glenn. That sucks. Really wish Glenn wasn't gone, but that's what it is. Glenn Brown. If you guys actually, on that note, Okalawaha, if you guys want to see one of the stupidest days with one of the coolest guys, nicest pro angler guys, and just kind of a local stand-up dude. You guys probably saw a video I did a while back. Glenn Brown, he passed away of, I think, cancer. I forget what kind or whatever, but just a super down-to-earth, just an awesome guy. We went out there on like a gambler kind of video trip with me, Val, and Glenn, like, hell, dude, it was like 5 years ago or something like that. And it's when they drew Rodman Reservoir down, which is in north central Florida. And Glenn caught 2 fish. We had a boga grips, so we didn't have like a real true scale, but actually boga grips are actually more, I'd say, discriminating than a regular scale. There were 2 fish over 10 and a half, I think it was. He caught one site. Actually, I don't know if I ever told you guys this story. So instead of talking baits for a second, we'll do the story. So we go out there, and when they draw Rodman down, basically all the flats, all the stump fields and that you'd fish are gone. So what Glenn figured out is the Okalawaha River is actually the riverbed that flows through all Rodman. And so the water's moving pretty quick. So Glenn had been catching a bunch on square bills as well as punching. He likes punching a why not, or like punching a why not and a burner craw. And there'd be these little isolated mats. It was really hard fishing. Basically, you take your boat out there, you go down this dirt homemade ramp, which is sketch as hell, and you turn your trolling motor on like 9 or 10, and you troll against this burning current. It's cold as hell, dude. It's freezing out. So we get out there, and Glenn's like, I don't know how it's gonna be, but literally they were raising the lake the next day. So we get out there, they catch a couple 2-3 pounders. I'm just like filming Val and Glenn, whatever. And it kind of sucked. Like, I'll be honest with you, Glenn's like kind of making excuses, like, I don't know, man, we caught him freaking the last time, whatever. So we get up to this turn. I forget what it was. I think it was marker 30 or something. In the video, Glenn mentioned. Well, dude, that Jagger pitched a 1.5, why not, in this just isolated mat. And he freaking leans back, dude. He's like, shit, I got one. And dude is just all bowed up. So the current's sweeping down. So he's trying to keep the boat straight in that. Dude, this fish comes out of the water and just, it was stupid. So Val tries to bend down to grab this thing. He's still fighting the current, trying to keep the boat even. Dude, it's a mess. Val ended up getting hit in the head with the 1.5. So the weight had slipped up so far because this fish had so much power waving its head that the weight slipped up and it went and jumped next to the boat, or tried to, and it hit Val on the head with the way. It was stupid. But in any case, though, what ended up happening is, so he caught that one. It was like 10.5, near 11 on the BOGO when we weighed it. We went down, and there's some springs in there where you get some early sight fish or some early bed fish. And went down there sight fishing, and Val saw, and actually me and Glenn saw what looked like about a 5 to 6 pound fish on the bed. And we slid on in, got all set up, and Glenn gave Val a rod with what he thought was like 15-pound fluorocarbon to sight fish it. Well, dude, freaking Val pitches in there. And like, you know how bedfish are. Usually it takes like, especially the good ones, like 45 minutes. You're like working, shaking. I hear those stories about guys that get on sight fish and they're like, yeah, dude, it took one pitch. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not that guy. Dude, it took me like 45 minutes. So whatever. Val pitches in there. Dude, one shake and that joker is off to the right 5 feet. Val goes, sets the hook, breaks right off. I was like, what the hell, Glenn? Like, what the hell rod did you give? Well, it turned out Glenn had given him like a finesse rod, like a medium action with only like 10 or 12 pound fluorocarbon on it. And, Val sets a hook like a Florida angler, a fishing Okeechobee. Lead that dude snapped him off in a second. Well, Glenn's like, all right, dude, I'll rig up another rod for you real quick. Well, in the process, Glenn had gotten up and gotten another rod out. And he's like, here you go, Val. And Val's like, well, I think Val reels right-handed or something. He's like, I can't reel that. So Glenn just randomly kind of just pitches into the bed. He's like, balls, he's got it. I'm like, no shit. Are you kidding me, dude? Literally, like, it just got broke off and you pitch in and freaking idiot. Dude, he sets the hook. And we thought this fish was like 5.5, 6 pounders, like a good shouldered, awesome North Central Florida bet. Yeah, dude, it was like freaking practically 11. This thing comes out of the water, goes, whoa, and Val's going, screw you, Glenn, dude. Like, what the hell? So Glenn catches this monster bass, 2 fish over 10 in one day on Robbie. It was such a cool experience, and Glenn was so stoked. It was awesome. But if you go watch, there's actually videos of it from Rodney. It's quite a few years ago, but it's Glenn and Val doing some fishing. And it's a good memory to have. Like, it was a cool experience. But let's get back to some fishing questions. Getting all sentimental. Thinking about times on past here. So, all right. So what do we got? Let's see. Do you do more bait videos? But you doing? Yes, Adam. I got some more bait videos. If you would have tuned in at the beginning, you're gonna see there's a spinner bait video coming. Some cool technique videos coming too for like fall and winter transition. I think you guys will enjoy. So live stream, great info, but useless to me in New Hampshire. Yeah, you got to get down to Florida, David. Dude, come on down. Fish. I love being able to come down here and just kind of hang out and go back to Alabama. It's such a cool experience, and it really learned a lot. I've learned a ton in Alabama, and then taking that back to Florida, and then taking my Florida stuff to Alabama. It's amazing how we look at things so differently and uniquely as anglers from different regions. Even when I go back to Wisconsin, I went back to Wisconsin to do some largemouth and smallmouth fishing. Just the perspective that I had that I brought with me from fishing grass in Florida for so many years and bringing that back to Wisconsin, it was a super cool experience, dude. Like, I actually, well, Adam friggin' up there in Madison, I'm going out and fishing the Madison chain, Monona, Mendota. I'm just going out there with a chatterbait or trying to punch some of those weird coontail mats and stuff like that. And catching some fish. So it was kind of a cool experience. We have a lot of knowledge stacked up in all our kind of regional fishing brains. So let's see here. Let's see what's up from Waco. Okeechobee, very high. Yes, water is high. Rodman. Okay, so yeah, it kind of wraps up. If you guys got any other questions, I'm going to try to cap this at about an hour. We're at about 58 minutes. I'm happy to hang out for like another 10, 15 minutes, though, if you guys want to talk about any kind of other faults like fishing techniques and stuff like that. I'm sure I missed something that I wanted to mention because I'm a little bit scatterbrained right now and not running on much sleep, but hell, that's kind of how things work. I will be doing some fishing down here, though. I'm going to try to get some video, though, but that's all according to not my schedule, but others. So you got to do what you got to do, kind of thing. But I do appreciate you guys always supporting the channel. As I mentioned, if you guys are interested, I am doing trying to set up like a little email list so that we can kind of highlight some, I don't know, some content that doesn't get the spotlight from YouTube that I think YouTube is like, screw you, we prefer clickbait garbage, woo-hoo, whatever. I mean, everybody gets to do what they want to do, but I'd like to highlight some local regional tips and technique videos, not super focused on national tournament scene, which seems like what everybody and their brother talks about. I think there's a wealth of knowledge that we have as grassroots anglers that needs a bigger spotlight. And what I'm looking to do with that email list is kind of grab some of that content, shoot it out to you, and you guys as viewers can say, hey, this is cool. Hey, let me check this out. Or you can say, hey, this is crap, because that's what I think things should work. So Greg really threw in a cool question right now, and it's something that I like to talk about because in about a month, that's probably all I'll be throwing. What's my favorite A-rig setup? I'm a downsized A-rig guy. If you guys look at the thumbnail for this video when it actually goes down, I've made up those goat jigs, those goats from bait heads with the screw lock. I will take TZs, which are the very super small Gambler Easies, and then little Easies, which are the one step up from there, or 2.8 Kytex, and put them on 1/8 and 1/4 ounce heads. Well, anywhere from 16 to 1/4, it depends what you're fishing. The rigs I like, actually, give me a second, dude, because I'm like drying up. I haven't talked as much to other people, I think, in years, dude. Talking for an hour is a lot of talking. So the rigs that I like are the Picasso. My buddy Ryan Salzman, he's a guide on Gunnersville. He swears by I think it's the Flash Mob, whatever the Yum one is. He swears by that. I like the Picasso because it doesn't flex as much. It seems to be a little sturdier. Plus, they make the bait balls. I prefer the Junior, I believe it is, the Picasso Schoolie Rig Junior, and then the Picasso Schoolie Rig Finesse. And I actually have 3 of each of those in my boat, like ready to go. I will have a standard size one every once in a while in my boat to go, but I don't throw it as much. Really, that Junior is the one that I throw a lot because it is super manageable. I'll throw it on like a 7.2. I got a Halo Rave. It's kind of like their entry level rod, so it has a little more moderate taper to it. 20-pound fluorocarbon, but it's a 7.2, so I can get up next to a dock and line it up and slang next to the dock. I can even kind of roll cast it under, say you got like a boathouse with like a garage or something. Basically, I can be a little more accurate with it, but at the same time, it's a 7.2, so I can slang it. But the bend on the rod's a little more moderate. So you guys notice that A-rig bite it's kind of like a slam. It's a high impact or it's a weight kind of bite. So I like a rod that has a little more flex to it. So that's my setup. Literally in like a month, that's probably what you're going to see me throwing a ton until I come back down to Florida and shoot some videos. So, Nicola, I fish a small lake with no grass and tons of wood and cover on shoreline. Underspin works great. Is there anything I should be considering other than that? It's scary to throw square bills. Nicola, that actually brings up a good point. I think there's a lot of different ways to see the same thing. What do I mean by that? An underspin is basically, a spinner bait, right? So you use that underspin to kind of tick the wood and protect that upper hook from cover. I'd really look at like some different spinner baits, like kind of what we were talking about at the beginning of the video. Especially this time of year, I'm a big fan of a multi-blade spinner bait, like a tri-blade spinner bait. I mentioned the D&M Custom Baits triple threat. It's a great way, especially when you're fishing around wood and cover, even grass. It stays weedless, it stays snagless, it runs through cover, and it mimics all those little glass minnows and shad that are running around this time of year. It's a solid way to go, and you can cover a lot of water too. And even though it's a bigger presentation because you have those little small blades on it, it still has that sort of finesse kind of or smaller presentation feel because those bass basically think those little blades, they're all little minnows, swimming around. It doesn't think that's one big kind of minnow kind of deal. All right, what else we got here? Let's get back down. The old green Corrados still are hot. So yeah, I really wish like maybe this is like the retro in me, but dude, like so for instance, I don't know if you guys watch Netflix, but they had Stranger Things. So in Stranger Things, they brought back all this super cool retro like 80s crap. They had like cool posters and all this. Why can't Shimano just go retro and bring the freaking green Corrados back? Like, is it that hard? Like, literally the best reel that they ever made, and they won't bring it back. Just do a retro, limited release. I guarantee you'll sell them all because I will buy them. I don't even care what price point you put on them at this point. Yes, green corrados. I love my green corrados. And actually, I've been doing some cool stuff. If you guys know my buddy Mike Slappy, he owns Hog Tech, or he's one of the owners. They do bearings for reels, but they make reel handles, and they also do tungsten. It's the tungsten that I throw. But I've actually been rigging out all my green corrados with various like custom reel handles. And they're awesome, because what I use a lot of green corrados for are braid applications, because frankly they're the only reel that I've found that just holds up. I've tried so many freaking reels, and they all, like the drag fries, or like you break the spool, like all kinds of crap, or you break the side plate because of the pressure. They just hold up. So I've been kind of decking them out with some nicer reel handles. Plus, a lot of times on the Shimano reel handles, the nubs get kind of gooey and gummy in that. So kind of making that transition, getting all fancy. You know what I'm saying? All right. So what else we got here? Live chats. You think you're gonna quit bass fishing? It's getting boring. Well, sorry, dude. Fishing with spies. I don't know. Fishing's not boring. I mean, if you catch them all, it might get boring all the time, but I think it's always a challenge to be out there. Or maybe I just suck. I probably just suck, dude. So yeah, it takes me a while to learn stuff. That's just the way it is. Let's see here. Live chat with the bait man. Yeah, actually, freaking, I do need to do that. We've been talking about doing a live chat or a little podcast with the bait man, and that's something I do need to do. I've been just kind of, to be honest with you, just scrambling. I've been scrambling to work. I don't want to piss him on. I really want to get more content out for you guys, and I've been trying to build some of the videos and that, and make more videos per week. It's a little, it takes up some time, but I enjoy doing it. So got to manage that time. It's all about being efficient. That's what we talk about. Yes, Glenn Brown is a legend. I'm sad to see him go. He did not deserve it, and he was always so open to. It's tough to find these days. There's a lot of really cool pros out there. And actually, I wouldn't say it's tough, but finding somebody who had the character of Glenn, the willingness to teach, and just this jovial sense of humor. Because usually you get guys that'll teach, and they're kind of like bland and whatever, they're teachers and stuff. Like Glenn was fun, dude. He'd bust your balls, he'd F with you, go out there. But at the end of the day, like if he caught him and you didn't, he'd be like, here's what I was doing. Let me kind of run through it. You were close. Here's what you needed to do. And then he'd bust your balls some more, which was totally cool. But he was, I don't know, you wanted to teach and have fun, which I think is the best combination of anything, especially when it comes to fishing. You can't take it too serious, but you got to be serious enough that you grow and you learn. So let's see. What else do we got here? Streams are awesome. Long time fan. Yeah, I'll try to get a little more technical with the live streams and do them a little more fancy. In this case, like I mentioned to you guys, it kind of was a necessity. I want to get online and kind of communicate with you and let you know what was going on, and let you know that there were some more videos coming. So let's see here. Yes, fishing is never boring. Ron, I'm completely on board with that. Tackle Junkie. What up, my homie? Tackle Junkie is another one of the classic channels. There's a few of us. I always talk about it. There's like, I don't know, like 30 of us, 40 of us that literally started YouTube fishing, bass fishing. John B was one of them. But prior to some of us making these videos, and people, I don't know about their experiences, but people laughed at me when I would bring a camera to Okeechobee to fish a tournament. Like, what the hell are you doing, you clown? Like, so there's always a little attitudinal. I don't take lightly to people who freaking talk smack, but whatever. So it's interesting though to kind of see where we're all at now, after all these years. But there's some original guys that really created that sort of platform and made it okay to post, grassroots local guy fishing content. Like you didn't have to be a tournament superstar. You didn't have to be #pro or whatever. Like literally, we went out there, we shot videos, we caught fish, we talked about how we caught fish, and we put it on YouTube. And if you liked it, great. If you didn't, great. It was kind of a cool. It was a cool, very developmental time for the web and fishing in general. Kind of fishing from a content standpoint, but that's a whole historical deal. Like where we're at now. So, all right, guys. So here's the deal. I am gonna wrap this up though, because as I mentioned, I need to. Matt on a yak. No, you're probably not going to see me with a fly rod, sadly. That is something I do need to try out, but I have not fly fished. You will see me with a spinning rod a lot though in the next few videos because it's just with the small bait and the presentations that I'm trying to make, it's really just been a go-to. And I don't know, maybe if I'm getting ninny or something, and I like flicking around that little spinning rod, but I've enjoyed fishing it, from Ned rigs to little hair jigs and stuff like that. There's a lot of stuff that you can do with it. So let's see here. Any other last kind of follow-up questions? Yeah, the new Shimano stuff is pretty cool. But really, from a price point standpoint, those green Corrados and the quality, it's tough to beat. Plus, it's really hard to get Shimano stuff right now. So let's see here. Anything else? Will I revisit how to keep Googans away from your fishing spots? Yeah, I'll put on my pink underwear and do or my pink swimsuit thing and do a live stream. No one would watch that. I wouldn't watch that. That'd be horrible, dude. Maybe I'll have Swimsuit Girl do something like that, though. We'll go ledge fishing this summer or something like that and bring Swimsuit Girl out there and have her, like, like draw in the Googans, and then I'll throw, like, Carolina rigs at him or something. Get off my spot, bro. It'll be kind of fun. We'll have some good times with it. I do appreciate you guys tuning in, though. I'm gonna GTFO because I need to get back to what I was doing. Sorry about no videos, but I think you guys will understand in light of the context. If you guys got any questions or additions that you want to make to any of the topics that we talked about, this video is going to be posted on the channel. So they're going to see all your comments and your chats and all that kind of stuff. So if you got any follow-ups, drop them on there. I'll see them in my notifications and follow up with you guys. But something I don't do enough, though, is I do want to thank you guys, because really you guys watching are like the core audience. Like, you guys are the hardcore ones that tune in and watch the content. Thank you guys for watching this, and thank you for kind of supporting the channel. It's something I've always liked doing, and I'm passionate about trying to make it into sort of direct, honest content and really make it sort of genuine and true to my goals and what I want to show and present. And your support really allows me to do that. So I have a lot of fun making the videos, and it's super rewarding to have you guys comment, give feedback, and watch the videos, tell your friends about the videos. So I do really appreciate that. But thank you guys. We're going to punch out. I'll see you next time. Hopefully we'll get some videos up starting early next week for you. I think you guys will enjoy them too. But we're going to check out Bob. You want to say goodbye? Come on, bud. We'll say goodbye to Bob. Come on. Oh, he's got fabric past 2 minutes. All right, everybody say bye to Bob. He's actually about to be past that. Peace. Thank you guys for watching. We're out. And if you can, go fishing, because it's awesome. Later, guys.